Check, check. All right. Good morning, folks. How y'all doing today? So, if something happens to go a little wonky with this, I apologize. Looks like stream status kicked back up now. So, I've been monitoring for a minute, and the... oh, we got somebody in the chat already. Sean O'Neill. Hi, Sean. How you doing? So, yeah, thanks for watching and letting me know about that, because when I fired up the stream and was doing the run-up, it was giving me an error. So it was saying that I had an unhealthy stream. I think you need to see a doctor about that. So it was saying that my connection was not that great. So, you know, full disclosure, my location is rather remote. So I am very happy to no longer be living in any of the massive metropolitan centers of the United States of America. For those who don't know, I am, while my voice doesn't totally give it away anymore, I'm kind of a hillbilly. I grew up in eastern Kentucky, and I wanted to come back here pretty much most of my adult life after being out and about in the world. So, yeah, I'm actually from a relatively remote location. There's actually a university near me, so we do have pretty good internet here most of the time. But, you know, some days, like today, it's raining here, and sometimes when the weather is rough, you know, things hit the lines, and it does some goofy crap. So, anyway, we might have some issues here and there. So, popping back over in the chat. Music's clear, no static or anything. Cool. Sean O'Neill says, doing all right, working in Blender, making sci-fi stuff. Cool, cool. I personally am, like, I am just hobbled if I have to use Blender. I've really never taken the time to work with it a whole lot. I'm not going to disparage it. Blender's badass. But, yeah, You know, I've been up to my eyeballs in Maya almost as long as it's been called Maya. So it was under a couple different names before that. But yeah, I came up through like 3D Studio DOS and then Max and Maya. And so for a long time now, though, Zbrush has been my main tool. So let's see. Sean says, okay, also a hillbilly. Southwest Virginia in the mountains. Oh, sounds like a Blue Ridge boy. Nice. I was just through the Blue Ridge back in October of last year. I was just through the Blue Ridge area on my way to Myrtle Beach. Good times. Good times. Yeah. It's funny. I have this habit of kind of cloaking my accent. It's from many, many years of professional work. And like, I used to work in, God, forever ago, I worked in radio. And it was really impressed upon me there that if you're going to go on air, you need to not have that accent. And at the same time, I was also living a large portion of my year in Connecticut. And oddly enough, I found that, maybe not oddly enough, I found that when I went to a lot of places outside of Appalachia, I had real trouble from people. Like the accent, they didn't understand a lot of things I would say, and there was actually a lot of really aggravating prejudice. Like, and some of the things that would be said, it's something that really doesn't catch you until you experience it. You know, like I grew up with people telling me, you know, it's like you go out there in the world, they're gonna, you know, it's like you're gonna find people gonna look at you like this. They're gonna say things, you know, and I grew up with people. I grew up hearing about how people looked down on us. And I didn't entirely get it until I went and experienced it. And it was really frustrating. It was really frustrating, really aggravating. But I don't want to get too deep into that. It's something that I will go off on for a long period of time if I allow myself, because it really did frame a lot of my view on things. It kind of gave me I feel like it gave me an interesting perspective into you know, situations of people and their bigotries and prejudices and all that kind of stuff. But you know, we'll draw our perspectives and equivalencies from wherever we will, I guess, and that's one that really has stuck with me pretty much forever. There's a number of things about it, but I have other videos that I've been doing from time to time called Headspace that sort of are where I kind of get into my headspace. It's where I think about a lot of kind of stuff like that. So the morning stream here, though, is all about sketching and concepting, and you know, it's all about what I do in the mornings to kind of get up and running as a pro artist. So let's get into that before I allow myself to go down one of my mental rabbit holes a little too deeply. So let's see. I'm going to back this music off just a touch. I'm not sure. It's hard to monitor. Excuse me. It's hard to monitor exactly the balance between the vocal and the audio while I'm doing this. Maybe eventually I'll have, you know, someone I hire as a producer who can remotely monitor stuff. But until then, I'm solo, and I'm pretty much okay with that. I do think... No, that's good. All right. Let's see. So let's get on with it. No, wrong one. Wrong one. No, cancel. Let's see. Ah, there we go. There we go. Looks like we got our Zbrush feed in now. Good deal. All right. So, if you saw the the social media posts saying, "Hey, come watch this." So what I did this morning is I was just like, okay, I'm just going to spitball some kind of an idea. I was like, what am I going to do? So the first phrase that kind of came to mind was alien love games. It's actually a reference to some music that I love from a long time ago. Doesn't seem like a long time ago to me, but that's only because I'm old. So whatevs. But yeah, it was actually I love like crazy guitar music. And, excuse me. So, yeah, for some reason, one of my favorite guitar players, Steve Vai, came to mind. And I don't know that he had something called Alien Love Games. I think it was Alien Love Secrets or something like that. But anyway, stupid phrase came to mind. So let's grab a female figure and riff on this a little bit. So, tweet. There we go. This is a really nice buck that they have in here to work from. So I'm going to delete all the subdivisions off of this. And let's Dynamesh this. That works. Inflate that just a little bit and boost that Dynamesh resolution and give it a little polish. There we go. That way we get some of the details out of it, but we still keep the forms. All right. So I'm going to get in here, go ahead and jump into Sculptress mode and change my masking brush over to a mesh balloon and start kind of riffing on this. And I really am thinking about lots of crazy lines, kind of some elegant sort of lines. And it's like anybody who listens to me or spends any amount of time around me knows how much of a Star Wars nut I am. So I'll probably end up having this feeling of something in the range of something that might fit in well inside of a Star Wars sort of environment. I love my science fiction. Star Wars is kind of a big part of why I do the stuff I do. And I think I'm just going to focus on, I'm going to cut off a bunch of this and just focus on like a torso sculpt. Just for the sake of kind of keeping my thoughts clear, and also for some brevity, because I have a tendency to run really long on these streams and I need to not do that so much. So let's look at some of that and just kind of whittle this down into something that's more of an actual like concept-y bust sort of thing. Of course, I keep all of these, and I have an upcoming business venture where some of these sculpts may end up starting to find their way into a physical format. If you watch some of the earlier videos in this series, you'll see that I've been bringing in some 3D printing into the shop, and I'm planning to get a store up and running where we will be able to offer collectibles, on demand, prints of things and so on. We're really into the resin printing thing. And I feel like busts and kind of torso shots like this are a great way for me to do some nice art and still get a product that is, like it doesn't necessarily have to end up being rigged. It doesn't have to go through all of the rigmarole that that I usually have to go through with things that I put out, say for Daz, or things that go into, stuff for a lot of my animation clients, things like that. This can just be pure concept, pure art that goes right into a physical form that folks who dig my stuff can buy. So now that we've got this kind of tuned down to a general shape, I want to play around with it. Also, since I really don't know that I don't know where I'm going to go with this, honestly. I'm going to keep playing around with some of these shapes that I've got started here. And I want to play with the allure of this female form as I turn it into something more alien. And let's see where this goes. And I'm going to try and monitor my my chat a little more closely today, since I actually had some folks in there pretty quick. I see Roman is there. Sean says, see what we're making today. Seen some of your creatures for Poser and Daz. Really nice work. Thanks. Let's see. I'm gonna grab a Apist. I'm sorry if I butcher your name. Apist bin Senen. Hello there. So someone else joining the chat. Good to see you this morning. Morning for me. Yeah, good whatever time of day it is to wherever you are. Have to have my coffee. My lovely Guardians mug here. So, pardon me. Let's see. Sean says, hear you about the accents running the same thing. Southern accent and hillbilly people make fun of, but they love my Irish brogue. Nice. Nice. Yeah, folks out in these hills, man. Appalachian folks. We got that Scots-Irish thing. A lot of folks don't realize how deep that runs and where it leads to. So, let's see. Some of your creatures, Poser and Daz, really nice work. Thank you very much for that. God knows I've been doing that a long time, like 20 plus years. And yeah, crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff. So let's hop back into this. If you guys, like I said, I'm going to monitor the chat. And, if you see something that you're like, oh yeah, what about this or what about that, and just something that you think of, spitball it. Say something and maybe I'll catch it and work an element in or whatever, This is kind of warm up time for me for my day, but I want to open that up a little bit so that maybe we hang out a little bit. And I used to do a lot of, before COVID, the coof. I was prepared to do a lot of conventions. I did a lot of conventions back in the 90s. Comic book shows and such, and I love comic book shows. Even though I'm doing a lot of these, most of these streams I've done so far have been in Zbrush. A couple of them have been in Clip Studio Paint. If any of you don't know, I think most of the folks right now who are familiar with my work know it from 3D space. Like Dude was saying with Poser and Daz. But I actually came up through comic books and was writing and drawing these indie comics back in the 90s. A lot of horror stuff, a lot of vampire stuff, kind of darker superhero stuff of the era. And comics are absolutely my first love with all of this. Most of the things that I do in comics now, I actually will build 3D stuff. I'll concept it in 3D and have 3D references that I use. So, yeah, at some point, while I'm trying to alternate and do some of that on stream, because I'm actually doing a lot more comic book work again these days. I have my book Apocalypse Girl that's out. Came out last year. All 6 issues of it finally made their way out to my publisher, SourcePoint Press. And yeah, that's the book's done really well. Unfortunately, I think that that like it did really well in spite of not having the conventions and things to do because of COVID. I would love to have seen how it could have done during a normal time, but still, in the course of that, see, in the last few years, I've done. I did an issue of Johnny Saturn for Scott's story. It's a pretty cool book. Then I did a chapter of a thing called Butts in Seats for SourcePoint. It was it's a big book about wrestling announcer Tony Schiavone, and so I was asked to do a chapter of that. Then the guy who wrote it is a gentleman named Dirk Manning, who, if you're watching yesterday, you'll have seen that I did a sculpt of one of his characters, a character called Mr. Ree. And Dirk and I have known each other for a few years now. We met when I was first shopping around Apocalypse Girl. And he really has played a big role in getting me back into comics full bore. Like when I started doing Apocalypse Girl, it was really just because I missed comics. I'd been on the periphery of comics for a while doing 3D related stuff for some different publishers, but not really pushing back into actual, on-page art like I'd like. And Dirk, man, like I came up with Apocalypse Girl mostly as just something I was like, man, I really miss comics, miss doing it. And Dirk really helped get that off the ground as more than just a hobby, more than just a hobby project. He introduced me to the folks at SourcePoint, and that turned into a thing that eventually turned into a publishing deal. And there's a lot more to the drama of it than that, a lot more of the story of it than that. But yeah, it was Apocalypse Girl was first with Insane Comics, company out of Illinois. Really good folks. And then it eventually went to, I eventually took it to SourcePoint Press, where it's been for a while now, and where last year all 6 issues came out. The trade paperback is out. Roman, yours is going to get in the mail. I do not get to the post office as often as I should. Did I mention I live remotely? But the trade paperback is out. The book is available. It's actually available through Simon & Schuster, which is that was pretty amazing to me when the news of that came out. Because I mean that's a huge publisher, and having something listed with them, that just feels good, man. So anyway, all that to say, I'm really bad about those rabbit holes. So I do a lot of my comic characters, the concepts for them anymore often start out in 3D as sculpts in Zbrush, and then get turned into, or I'll use those for reference. I might even like finish them out, rig them, and do all kinds of stuff with them. And I really love having them for that. It also means that you can expect, as this new venture gets off the ground, you can expect to be able to find collectibles of like Apocalypse Girl stuff coming. And that's something I'm really, really excited about. Let's see where this leads. Always need to back the size back down. I'll get into using the move brush, but I'll be in sculptress mode, and I'll accidentally have, I like using that move brush at a really large size for kind of doing broad stroke manipulations, but I'll forget that I have sculptress mode on, and then go to smooth something, and it will just kill the resolution, which isn't always bad, but you know, sometimes I need to make sure that I bring that back down so that my smoothing actually is like surface smooth and doesn't kill resolution. Right, I want to play with some shapes on this now. I feel like I have something here that, you know, it's kind of sexy with long lines and, you know, a strong female form built up. So let's kind of play around with some things. I'm really kind of pushing into doing some sexier, sort of more lanky and attractive kinds of designs lately, because I have such a tendency to want to do bulky superhero monsters a lot, that this sort of thing is a nice challenge for me. Sean says, so this is a beauty makeup. Could be a little bit, yeah. So, Roman, don't worry. I will definitely make sure your trade paperback is signed. Pardon me. Let's go ahead and stick a couple of spheres in here to use for some eye reference. I definitely want to go with large eyes in here. So let's split those off. Yeah, I'm going to turn on subdivision for those just so that they show up smooth. Oh, wait. I turned it on for that. Sorry. Oops. What am I doing? What am I doing? Here we go. That's better. Alright. Let's move those back a touch. Okay. We got switch brushes. Trust me, folks, I actually do know what I'm doing here. Alright. It's just starting to come out a little too severe looking right there. Let's relax some of that back. Almost reminds me of a Nemoidian from Star Wars. I think it'd be neat on a concept like this for the character's ears to be sort of here to have some kind of an apparatus, some sort of bio apparatus back here that is sort of an ear canal sort of thing. Let's put kind of a cochlear shape in there. I want to go back and play around with some things, like how ringlets. I always dig ringlets in women's hair. So what if we take that idea and play with that, almost like she has some sort of dreads or something like that coming down. Alright, I think let's move this part more forward. Kind of push this stuff around, very clay-like. One of these days I'm going to go in and change the settings on my move brush and save it as the default so that it has a different resolution that it will cause in the smoothing for Sculptress. Because it is rather aggravating that I do that so much. Sean says she's starting to look a little angry. Maybe it's not an ear back there. Maybe it's where they breathe. That's, you know, it could be. It could be like some gills or something. I do like the smoothness of not having a nose, like a visible nose involved. I think that gives some really clean lines. And I'm going to split that off because I really don't want to have it embedded with the rest of this just yet. And then let's Dynamesh that. Okay. I think that has some potential, actually, for that to be a repeating motif. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do 2 more of those. And we'll open up that masking. Let's pull this all back out through here so they're draping. And then use a move topo so I can move them kind of independently of each other, get some different shapes going. I am actually digging the crap out of this so far. Oop. I'm going to turn Sculptress off for a bit while I'm working with this. See, right there, that's a happy little thing that happened. Just how the Dynamesh and Sculptress based topology, which those are actually garbage topos. I mean, that there is no flow in those lines, but that's not what that's for. It's for concepting, you know, just getting shapes down, doing some rough sculpting. If you're going to rapid prototyping or 3D printing or something like that, you can use it. But like if I'm trying to animate, I do not want to try to animate those meshes. Those are just no. They're not going to work. But the nature of it, though, like sometimes you get these areas that when you run a polish or a smooth, it might create these weird bulbs. And from time to time, that's actually super useful. Like I really like what that came out with right here. Yeah, I am really digging this. Let's kind of rein this back in a little bit. I'm going to give these some space so that these tendrils kind of hang off here a little bit. I may end up actually deleting them at some point and redrawing them, because I can see where I could make an IMM brush that would allow me to draw in tendrils like this that are very consistent, which would get a nice repetition to it, create a nice repeating pattern. I think would be super cool. So let's come back in here and kind of work on. Got about 20 minutes left to spend on this. So I want to get something a little more meaningful out of it before it's all said and done. So I'm going to come in and start doodling in some things. That Sculptress back on here. So I'm going to go with something with some real lippage to it here. Alternate back out to looking at these eyes again. Let's do a little bit of with my topo brush here, just to get some extra mesh added in over those. It's kind of a different way of doing this, but it can work quite well. I'm not really worried about what kind of topology this creates, because I know I'm just going to end up dynameshing it back onto the stuff. But it's like a way of adding some really targeted mesh. So there we go. There we go. Add some weight. In here. Let's play with that shape right there. It's a tiny little area, but I think it's an interesting place to do stuff with. Swap out my snake hook here for an H polish. Turn off Sculptress and use that to sort of hammer some of this shape back into a smoother transition here. I'll hold the Alt key with that. I can kind of fill in some of these areas. Turn that Z-add up on that. I want this thing to be pretty bold. How it works. I'm digging that. I'm digging that way more than I thought I would. Alright, let's go back to Sculptress. Head back over to my damn standard. Like adding some little things like that. It's kind of interesting to do something that's alien and not super extreme. Something that I do a lot is I'll use the damn standard brush, almost like I'm sketching, but then I'll smooth it back out. So I really like that, helps develop her cheeks right there. Start to play with some of these lines. I like the idea of letting this stuff sort of flow down into the chest. Some subtle little lines there. Maybe let's pick up something from right here and let it flow. That's the thing I'm going for here. I want some lines that definitely say this is not human, but that that still have kind of a sultry kind of flow to them. I like the look. I like the look we got going here. Add some clay strips, turn them into muscles, affecting surface topo, create some lines. Yeah, Sean says maybe add some clay strips, turn them into muscles, affecting surface topo, and create some lines. Is my camera not actually on right? Okay, cool. Let's see. Let's run some kind of anatomy-informed stuff, like you're saying there. Maybe through, right through here. Let those lines I just started there sort of blend into something else. How about we build up that shape down the middle? I do notice, as a rule, like if you create lines going across the pectorals, so like, you know, the musculature of actual pectoral muscles It tends to have a flow kind of like that. When you create those kind of lines, because that is the natural flow of the muscles, it tends to make it feel stronger and more muscular, which is not necessarily where I want to go with something that's supposed to be kind of, you know, sexy and alluring sort of character. I do like the idea, though, of maybe having the back feel a little tougher. I think this is a good place to kind of add some things that remind you this is not a human, but still soften it up a little, you know? Play with like a prominent spine shape in here. If I were finishing this on off, I actually think I would break off a tail from right here. Because I think a tail on this character could actually be kind of sexy. I know, it's weird, but... Let's go back and focus on this face a little bit more. I do like the idea of not having super prominent brow. That always makes things feel, you know, a brow conveys some communication. You know, it's a very expressive part of the anatomy of people and animals. You know, you can always, like whenever you see, if you can see something's brow, you'll immediately pick up to look at it, and then the moment it moves one way or another, you'll pick up emotional content. So like this has this hint of a brow. I mean, I guess we could play around with something very high and aquiline, but nah, I don't like it. I like it better without. Yeah. Like, actually, here's what we should do. Here's what we should do. Let's take this set of lines right here, and then we'll kind of let that get informed, since that comes off from here. Have that come up and over, and then flow with the rest of this. Like that. I think that creates this interesting hint. I like that. I like that a lot. So then it actually does have a little bit of a brow here. That could be expressive if we're animated, or, you know, if we were going to give it some expression for a sculpt to go to a collectible. It could do those things. Like that. Always adding a little weight around the corners of the mouth helps kind of pull the shape together, I think. Yeah, I really like that. This is an interesting exercise, too, in subtlety. It's very easy, in my opinion, to do alien designs and monster designs and go just super gnarly with huge, deep cutting details and crazy shapes and stuff flying everywhere. But to do subtlety like that is much tougher. It's much more challenging, in my opinion. Okay, I've got just a couple of minutes left. Let's come back in here and knock in just a few more lines, kind of informing some things. See what she looks like without those on. That's actually super cool. That's really funny. I'm digging that a lot. Let's give this just a little bit more shape right here. Oop. My headphone cable keeps getting caught on my microphone. It's kind of annoying. Wow, it's so funny. I had those temporals on there and I took them off, and I like this better without them. It's always funny to me when things like that happen. See, now I want to smooth this stuff up here out and just let it be very smooth and elegant. I think that's kind of where I was headed to begin with, and I just got a little derailed. Let's really crank up the size there so that Sculptress will reduce that back and simplify it a bit. Yeah, I'm really liking that. Really, really liking that. So now let's come back in. I'm actually just going to ditch these altogether. They served a purpose, though, because they let me kind of see a place to go with something. So let's take a this curve alpha. It's a new thing in here, and they have a star shape in it. So that's what kind of shape that's going to create. I'm going to select something different, though. Let's do... Curious what that'll do with a circle. I bet it makes a tube. Oh yeah, it does. It makes a tube. It's so neat. Some of the new stuff they have in here is just really great. Oh, that's cool. That makes these like... Makes a series of shapes. That's kind of neat. Let's grab that. Nice. Nice. That's very cool. So, oh, I like that. All right, let's go into our, let's see, where my stroke settings go? Oh, there they are. Let's turn on, why am I having such a brain fart here? Oh, there it is, my curve. And I want to lock the end and the start. That way I can pull these like this. Okay. And then let's do a liquid mode on it. And snap it. There we go. That's cool. I like that. And then we'll turn off that liquid mode so that we can edit this a little bit more. So I just delete my stroke there, and then I'm going to break that off into its own layer, or own subtool. And we'll press some of that in. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Something kind of like that. Oop. Alright. So now I've got that on there sort of informing where the rest of that's going to go. Man, I like that. I like that a lot. So now so we have snapping on. Cool, cool. Alright. So let's try just running a little bit more of this. Okay. And I'm going to hold my mouse over that stroke and then hit my bracket keys so that it really increases the size of how I edit the curve. And let's turn on liquid mode. Use that to get some extension on this. And we'll turn it back off. There we go. All right. This can be a little weird to work with, but there we go. Now let's kill that, polish it a couple times, inflate it, polish it some more. And I am thinking this right here is going to be a piece that I pull together, and I'm going to subdivide that once. I got a little more resolution to work with. I like how these, they have the silhouette and the feel that it could be hair, but then you can tell from the roundedness of it that it's not. And I think that's kind of neat. It's got an interesting quality to it. I bet. Let's add some volume like that. Pull that out. Then I'm going to just control click and drag to duplicate that. Then we'll bring that out so that it hangs a little more from the sides. Alright. Let's grab another one and do that right here. Pull that over. Really digging this. It's funny, I wasn't sure if this was going to get something like that or not, but I'm very happy with it now. Well, let's continue this down through here. How am I doing on time? Oh, I have to close this out soon. Oh, that sucks because I'm having fun with it. I really try to make these morning sketches complete, in part because it's like a psychological thing. It's like you get, if you start your day, and I do this with more than just art too. It's like if I start my day with a win, then it's like my whole day goes better, and it actually helps me avoid, like, it really helps fight depression to start my day with, you know, something going right. And getting something finished that's definitely something going right, you know? There we go. Let's do it that way. Yes. Yes. I think that's a good point to just kill that curve and start editing this directly. Yeah. Okay. And I bet those are all individual tubes, and if I grab those with a mesh, with a topo brush, yes, Yes, that is so sweet. That is pure sweetness right there. So then we can just peel those apart and get all that awesomeness going. Oh, yeah. Okay, I am really, really in love with this. Very, very happy with the looks of this. I think that's a very solid, sexy alien design. And I'm good to run with that. I'm going to save that. Let's get some subdivision on there. Oh, we do not need that to be 12 million polys. So why is that 3 million? Good lord! I'm just curious. Let's save this real quick. And let's save that. I bet that can get its topo reduced dramatically. Although, you know what? We're definitely going to want to clip the ends off of all of this. Don't even care. Let's do that. Actually, let's do this number. So let's group those. It'll probably take it a minute to shrink down. That's going to take longer than I want. Whatevs. Let's delete those. Let's see what happens here if we... Let's set our target to like 15,000. And then Z-remesh that and see what it does. Ugh. Allergies. I need more coffee. Oh, it did not like trying to remesh that. That's interesting. Well, it does make separate tubes there, so that's good. I wonder. I haven't had it crash on me this morning, so this is probably where it will. Oh yeah, it does not like trying to do that. I wonder what we'll get if we try to tessellate that. Huh. Okay. Well, we got our tubes. And we got that resolution down just a little bit. Although, I'm going to go through and inflate some of this. And then tessellate that. So we don't lose all that volume. Okay. Now let's just, let's see here. Let's use a slice curve. Then okay. Wait, hidden. Okay, now we have. Oh, wait! Whoa! 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 Not cool. Not cool. Ah! Don't do that. Okay, we want you. There we go. Now then, let's see if we can Z-remesh that. I might have just been trying to analyze too much at once before. Oh. Stormorph target, and then do that. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Yeah, we still have some shapes though that are peeling away from that from the tessellation there. So that's not cool. Let's see if it freaks out on that again. It's had a minute to think about it. Come on. Come on, Zbrush. Go, Zbrush. Go, Zbrush. Go. Let's see what it does. Oh, it looks like it might. Oh. Oh, well. All right. That's enough of that. That's enough of that. The design is there. It's not quite a functional mesh. I mean, it's clean, but good lord, it's dense. It's so dense, and I don't like that dense topology there. Do not like that. That could be whittled down greatly. And there's a few different ways we could do that. Oof. Boy, I probably shouldn't have hit that. It's gonna chug. Let's see if it can escape out of it. Yes, we will wait for the program to respond. Oh, it's trying to crash. It's trying so hard. Finally! It would not be one of these streams if I didn't make Zbrush crash at some point. Let's see. How many polys? Yeah, that hair tendril stuff right there is about 3 million polys. So there we go. We escaped out of it. We were able to bail without much issue. Whoa! What's that? That's not cool, is what that is. There we go. Interesting. Well, I wonder if Sculptress would be the way to bring this down. I'm kind of betting it will. Yes. Painted resolution. I don't care if I lose the ends off that hair. I really don't. Don't care. I just want to get that resolution down enough that it can Z-remesh without having a complete and utter fit. Interesting. Some of that stuff is wanting to kind of dissipate on itself. So anyway, all right. It's time for me to call it. I have played with this long enough, so I'm gonna actually hopefully undo back far enough. It's probably not gonna let me do it. I need to look at that. I swear, I think I have something going on with my undo queue. And Zbrush has been doing some wonky crap with me like that lately, and I don't like that. Let's see if it freaks out when I tell it to close these holes. There we go. And close those holes and then relax it back and get some tips back on that stuff. So. Alright. That works. That works. I'll keep that for now. So, I think that works out well for the morning stream today. I always like to end by pulling her off to the pulling whatever I do kind of off to the side because it makes good thumbnails that I'll update with later. So let's do a quick render. Nice. I dig that. Dig that a lot. All right. So, and of course, I also like to end with a turntable of what we have. So let's come in and do a little turntable action. Actually, I want to change that. This is kind of a neat thing in here too. Let's set our spin cycles. Let's do 720 frames and then do 3 spin cycles on that. It's like doing the laundry. So we can let that run for a minute. Yeah, I dig that. Dig that. Alright, so let's pop back over into the chat for a second. Adarsh Todi. Welcome to the chat, Adarsh. Alright. Sean says, hate to see it end. Been fun. Dude, I'm on here Monday through Friday, every morning right now. Around 9, some mornings. Because I am, I run in my business here, so some mornings things come up that kind of bounce the thing around a little bit. But typically I'm in around 9, between 9 and 9:15 is when the stream will start, and it'll run. Sometimes it'll run long. Depends on what my schedule's like for the day. If I can just hang out for a couple of hours, I do sometimes. Most days it's going to run for about an hour. That's because I like to start my day out with, it's the morning warm-up sketch. That's what it is. And I haven't talked about this, I guess, in a bit, but Sean says subscribed and rang the bell, so we'll be back in the future. Awesome, my brother. Awesome. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Yeah, be sure, folks, if you dig what you're seeing, man, share this stuff, far and wide on Instagram, whatever your social media preference is, Twitter, Facebook, yada, yada. You know the drill. I mean, it's kind of day-to-day life these days. But I appreciate that, and also keep in mind too, probably, I think the first newsletter is going to go out next week, probably midweek next week. I've been working towards building up a new mailing list for the studio, for my art. Studio's 6S1 Media. You'll find me oftentimes as 6S1 Media, or Les L. Garner Arts. Any variation of those things will pull up my stuff pretty much anywhere. And been working on building up a new mailing list. We got a lot of exciting stuff coming up. Like I said earlier, doing more with with resin and collectibles and things like that. Something I really enjoy. Let's just keep that turntable going. So we're expanding into a good amount of resin printing. There's some stuff coming on deck with that. I can't talk about all of it yet, but hopefully the facility here is going to be getting some expansions, and that should be pretty sweet. There's some things coming up with my publisher, SourcePoint Press, that one of the hardest things about the stuff I do is it's like, oh no, you're going to piss off the marketing people. You can't talk about that yet. You can't talk about that yet. I'm like, but it's so cool. They're like, yeah, wait for it. I'm like, okay, I'm holding. So, I can talk about, I started this yesterday, actually, in yesterday morning stream. I started some of the work on this. Was a sculpt of Mr. Ree from Dirk Manning and his books, Tales of Mr. Ree. I think were originally published through Devil's Due. I'm not sure if SourcePoint publishes those now or not. I think they do. So I'm doing a collectible for that. That should be as part of an upcoming Kickstarter. So hopefully I'm not crossing any lines talking about that. Then there's some pretty big stuff coming up for us here. I wish I could talk about, but I can't. Not yet. You can definitely expect to see some Apocalypse Girl related collectibles coming down the pipe. Just a matter of due time on that. I've got some stuff I'm cooking on that that's going to be pretty sweet. Man. Then on the comics front, the actual on-page art front, I've got a project coming up with Dirk that, it's probably going to be a year before you guys get to see what's on that project, but it's going to be badass. It's definitely a bucket list kind of project for what the content of it is going to be. Let's see. What else we got going on? I actually started a new music project over the past couple of days that turned out pretty interesting. So you might see some new music stuff coming from the studio soon. Most folks who know me are familiar with me through art and through all the art stuff that I do, but the studio also has audio production and music. The music that you hear on these streams is my music. I actually write and produce all of it. I literally have decades worth of music just sitting here that until recently I wasn't quite sure what I even wanted to do with it. So I may end up actually starting a separate YouTube channel just for my music. So there's that. That's a thing. If you look me up on SoundCloud, you'll find some stuff up on there. It's just a place to store some stuff. So anyway, yeah, I'm just kind of babbling on right now as the figure spins and all that. So anyway, I have a meeting to get to, and so. Oh no, I missed something. All right. So anyway, remember, like, share, subscribe. I actually just got notified of something I need to get into like right now, so I'm running along on this. I got to really watch about that in the future. But thanks to you guys. Thanks everybody for hanging out, watching it. Remember, like and share this thing far and wide. That really, helps get the word out. It's going to help build a mailing list. It's going to help the studio keep growing. Lots of cool stuff going on. Glad you guys are hanging out and being a part of it. So till next time, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, all the usual stuff. And I will see you folks tomorrow morning.